We need to talk. Oh Lord, I'm probably gonna lose a few people on this, but I don't even know how to start this, but I'm just going to say what needs to be said. If you see me looking down at my notes, is because I don't want to leave anything out, but I'm going to say a few things that have been on my mind. I'm sure a lot of content creators will agree. Some people who are new to crafting will maybe find this offensive, but I also think of a phrase that says, in the Bible, we are reminded to speak the truth in love. And so what I'm about to say is coming from a place of love. However, some of it is coming from a place of when you know better, you do better. And sometimes when other people don't know better, it's your responsibility to teach them and help them. So please, instead of taking offense to this, take this as this is coming from a place of love and let me help you. Number one, stop asking for SVGs. I said it. There, I said it. In all honesty, when you start crafting, the SVG is literally going to be the cheapest thing you're going to need. So if you're not in a place where you can afford the SVG, you should not be crafting, okay? It is probably okay to ask someone where they purchased their SVG, but I would say let's stop asking people to share their SVG with us because no one is required to do that. If I take my money, my good hard-earned $2 to go buy an SVG, I shouldn't have to share it with you. I wouldn't mind telling you where I got it from, but I'm definitely not going to be emailing you a link to my SVG. Okay, that's number one. Number two, stop selling stuff you don't know how to make. If you need help from someone else to make it, then you shouldn't be selling it. So if you have successfully made something one time and you are even surprised at yourself at how good it turned out, you're still not ready to make it, right? Just think about it this way. I have made probably close to 600 videos, and I'm still not in a place where I am actually selling physical items. There are occasions where I will sell to friends and people who are local to me, but I'm even very careful about that because as soon as money is involved, there is an expectation of perfection. And because I know that I am an imperfect person, we are all imperfect people, I am very, very cautious about that. So stop it. Okay, if you're just getting started, you made one shirt successfully, you shouldn't be in sales just yet. Number three, stop not using spell check. If you know that spelling is not your high point, like spelling is not like you are not known as the queen or king of all things spelled correctly, and you know that Cricut Design Space does not have a spell check option, I suggest that you use a different app or even just Google how to spell words that you're not spelling all the time. And even if it's a word that you use all the time, it could be a 5-letter word, a 4-letter word. We know that some words sound the same, but they're not spelled the same, like sell and sell. You might want to sell this, S-E-L-L, but this might not be on sale, S-A-L-E. See how those are 2 4-letter words, but they sound the same, but they're not spelled the same. So make sure before you actually put your design on, a shirt, a mug, a cup, whatever you're making, make sure you know how to spell the word and that you're using the right word, okay? Especially if you want to go into sales, because you would not be going into sales, S-E-L-L-S. You wouldn't, okay? All right. Number 4, stop relying on others to do the research for you, okay? If you are watching this video, it's because you have internet access. And if you have internet access, that means you have access to Google, right? So if you purchase a printer and you're wondering if that printer can be converted to use with sublimation, that's something you can Google for yourself. That's not something that you should rely on someone else to share with you. Really, before you even purchase the printer, like if you're looking at the printer, if you're in the store and you say, oh, okay, I see this Epson whatever, you can look at the printer and then you can Google that exact model number to see if that printer can be used with sublimation ink. Okay, so I wouldn't suggest going out and purchasing a printer, bringing the printer all the way home, and then asking someone else, can that printer be used with sublimation ink? All of those things you should know that beforehand, okay? All right, number 5, stop asking if your Cricut will print. A Cricut is a cutting machine. So right here, I have a Cricut Maker and I have a Cricut Explore Air 2. There are lots of different versions of Cricuts and none of them are printers. None of them have ink inside. None of them are capable of printing. I like to use this set of scissors as an example. These are cutters, right? So a Cricut is a cutting machine that is capable of cutting a wide variety of materials, okay? So you should know that before you purchase a Cricut, or even if someone has gifted a Cricut to you, if you are planning to use your Cricut along with images that need to be printed, you will need a printer for that, a separate printer, okay? Number 6, stop making your images too big or too small. So if you're making a t-shirt, I like to say when you're wearing a t-shirt or you're making a t-shirt image, an image on a t-shirt makes a statement, right? And someone should be able to read your statement from, I would say, at least 6 feet away, right? And if you're making the image too small and someone has to come up to you to see what it says, that's not good. Also, if your image is too big, like if it's coming all the way over here to like close to your armpits, the image is too big, okay? It doesn't need to go this wide. I mean, depending on what it is, in most cases, it doesn't, unless you're doing like an all over t-shirt where it's going to be on the sleeves and on everything. Otherwise, it doesn't need to go all the way out this far, okay? All right, number 7, stop trying to jump into sublimation too fast, right? You see or it looks like everyone else has gotten started with sublimation, and it just looks like you're the only one who hasn't, and you feel like you are just behind because it looks like everybody has started with sublimation. Let me just first say, number 1, you don't know everyone, right? So you can't say, oh, everybody has started except me. You don't know everybody. That's number 1. And number 2, so what if they have? You don't know if they went into debt. You don't know if they're struggling with sublimation. You don't know if they actually have someone helping them behind the scenes. And you shouldn't be comparing yourself to someone else anyway. If you are not in a position to have every single thing you need to get started with sublimation, including the knowledge, the software knowledge and the hardware knowledge, because there is some knowledge that goes along with getting started with sublimation in terms of you need to know the printer, you need to know what ink, you need to know, what materials. There's a lot that goes into getting started with sublimation, and you definitely should not be rushing yourself just because you have started comparing where you are to where someone else is. Comparison is the thief of joy, okay? Number 8, let's get into the habit of not saying HTV vinyl. Now, I know this is trivial and, in the grand scheme of things, it's like, okay, Delonda, so what? But it doesn't sound right, right? HTV is short, or it's an acronym for heat transfer vinyl. So if you say HTV vinyl, it's just like saying heat transfer vinyl. It's just weird. It just makes me laugh every time I think about it. So let's just stop saying that. Okay. Number 9, if you see that someone has created a design and it has text in it, and they're selling that design on Etsy or on their website, or they're selling it somewhere, let's stop asking designers for their font, right? That's like going into a restaurant and tasting something really delicious and then asking to speak with the chef so you can get the recipe. The chef, in most cases, they don't want to share their recipe, right? That's because that's unique to them. So when someone has taken the time to create a design, it really should be unique to them. So when you ask a designer, hey, oh, I really like that design, it kind of feels like you are going to take their design and use the same font they use to go recreate the design. And that's really not good. I mean, just think about it. Would you want someone to do that to you? And if you're saying, well, I wouldn't mind if somebody does that to me. Well, that's you. That's you. Okay. Most designers won't agree with you on that. Okay. So let's just stop doing that. All right. Number 10, let's stop starting without finishing. And you might be thinking, well, what do you mean by that? My advice is to get a craft journal. I think that for every new crafter, no matter what your craft is, if your craft is Cricut, if your craft is Sublimation, if your craft is DTF or embroidery or, laser, whatever your craft is, no matter what it is, you should have some kind of way to write down the materials that you need. Because oftentimes as crafters, and I'm guilty of this in the very beginning, I'm very, very guilty of this. I would start on a project and then I see something else I like and I'll drop that and I go start on something else and then I see something else I like and then I drop that. And if you take the time to write down the materials you need for a specific project, see it all the way through to completion. Okay, try your best to do that. And I have found that if you write down the materials and you make sure that you have all of those materials before you ever get started, 9 times out of 10, you are going to complete that project because you put so much into it beforehand. Okay, so those are my 10 pieces of advice. I'm sure that there is probably 1 or 2 that has resonated with some of you. If I've said something that has resonated with you, please drop the number or the numbers down in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. If I have offended you in any way, please know that wasn't the goal, but the goal was to share just some advice for you as you are getting started on your crafting journey. Things that I have seen in my crafting journey that kind of have, just being honest, have rubbed me the wrong way or rubbed other content creators the wrong way. Things that I've seen in my Facebook group, things that, I just feel like maybe people are doing this because they just don't know. But I would love to hear from you. If there's like 1 or 2 things that has really stood out to you, please make sure you drop those in the comments below. Those are just my little pieces of advice. You can take it or leave it, but don't say I didn't tell you, okay? So hopefully you have found this little chit chat helpful because that is the goal here. And if you did, and if you found it like you've connected with me, like, oh, Delonda, you are my person, I appreciate that very much. Please feel free to like the video. Make sure you leave a comment below and subscribe to this channel if I've connected with you in some way. At any rate, thank you so much for joining me today, and thanks for watching. Bye.